Hello, 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 world. It is Friday, and it is also the Weekend Roar with your host, Teresa B., presented by Amitza Media Independent, LLC, and broadcasted through MU Radio. Good afternoon, everyone. It is December 7th, 2018 at 12:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I am excited you all decided to join this afternoon. We have upcoming events and opportunities for you all, so please stay tuned for the announcements later in the show. And tune in right now because we are live on MethodistRadio.com. Also, you can go live or check us out right now on the Radio FX app. You just need to download the Radio FX app on your mobile device, search for Methodist University, then save it as your favorite, or you can tune in on Amitza Media Facebook page right now for live stream. And it is finals today. Finals was yesterday and all next week here at Methodist University. So we're trying to end the semester with a bang. And I actually have a final exam to take probably within the next hour after this show. So got to study a little bit just to make sure I'm good, but I'm sure I'll be good. So wish me luck, everyone. And go ahead and leave your questions or comments, if you have any, for our guest throughout this show right now, and she will be more than happy to answer them for you. And in addition to that, how did you like the song this Christmas? Is that a nice song to bring in the holidays for you? So what are you doing for the holidays? Where are you going? When you're traveling? I want to be all in your business. So go ahead and share it and let me know. And if you subscribe to AmitzaMedia.com, you would be all in my business as well, because I would share with you what I have going on. And of course, I'll share some here too, but exclusive things you can get by subscribing. But right now, let's just go ahead and bring in our guest, because we need to bring in our VIG, very important guest. And our VIG is Dr. Keisha, and she was born in Rock Hill, South Carolina. She has been a military spouse for the past 18 years, and she has 2 children. She enjoys laughter because that's an indication that everyone is having a good time. She says laughter is like medicine and it makes the atmosphere better. She is an owner and licensed professor and licensed professional counselor of Life Interrupted Counseling Services, PLLC. So let's go ahead and welcome Dr. Keisha to the show. Welcome.
Thank you, and good afternoon to you. It's such an honor to be here.
Well, I am so happy that you're here, tuning in for our listeners. And as we stated before the show, if you can have the capability to join in on live video, you can do that as well. For whatever reason, I'll go ahead and give a shout out to Wynetta Rogers, because I can tell she has tuned in as a viewer on Facebook, and I could actually add her to join in on the video, but for whatever reason, I don't have an option for you. So as we're chatting, if you see a request, you can join in at any time to so everyone can see your beautiful face as well. But if not, we can hear your voice. So we're just going to go ahead and move on. But how have your weekend been? How was your holidays? Just go ahead and share with us what's going on with you. Any plans?
So the holidays have been great. We recently relocated, so we're back in South Carolina, and I'm super excited to be on the East Coast once again. The Thanksgiving holiday was really awesome because we had families come by, so the house was full, and laughter was definitely in the air, and it was an awesome time. I guess, have a very strong appreciation for what you missed out on. when traveling, and following my husband in his military career and everything. And so now to be back and to be getting settled, it's been a wonderful experience, and I'm enjoying it. Absolutely.
Wow, that's good to hear. And you mentioned the experience with your husband. Can you share some of your experiences as a military spouse, how rewarding it may be, or even the challenges you may face from time to time?
It's definitely been a great experience because I met so many people. It allowed me to really step out of my box because I really in my mind I flourish when I'm around people I know and we have that common bond. And so being able to go from state to state, military post to military post, it's allowed me to really find out who I am as an individual, how strong I can really be. It's tested my faith a lot of times, but I've always been able to come out on top, and so I'm really thankful for that. Even in the challenging times, I always try to look for the learning experience in whatever it is that's going on. And so I think it really has helped me to learn a lot and gives me a lot of ability to reflect and also some insight. Some insight to be able to pass along to other military spouses because there are young military spouses that are coming into this life and they're not really understanding, what is this all about really and moving every 3 years, that kind of thing. So being able to really share with them that, this experience is what you make it. And if your mind is set that, okay, it's going to be horrible, it really will be.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be able to focus and kind of shift some things around. But it's absolutely given me a new group of sisters in addition to my biological sisters. And, and so I'm so thankful for it. I'm thankful for the journey. It's been a good one.
Well, that's good to hear because I've never been a military spouse, but as my listeners or viewers know, I am a military veteran. So it's good to hear the other side because you're still a part of the family. You're still a part of the group and that organization that serves because you serve too. So it's always good to get others' perspective on the same goal that we all are trying to reach as well. And I wanted to at least find out a little bit more about how or why did you decide to become a licensed professional, and more so even you're more engaging in the awareness and the signs and symptoms of depression within the family. How did all of that come about for you?
Well, I started out and I was going to be an attorney. And so I wanted to be, out there fighting for those their voices weren't being heard, and, making sure that there were the laws that were out there that they were really being followed and adhered to, and that sentencing was fair and all of that kind of thing. And so that was my path, and I was just walking along it, and it came to almost, I want to say, my junior year of undergrad, and I went into a class, and it was a social work class actually. And from that class, I was able to listen and hear the heart of my professor, who was also a social worker, and she talked about her experiences. And I said, okay, yeah, I can relate to that. That's a part of my passion. Well, kind of fast forward, because of that criminal justice degree, I became a probation officer. But in the course of that, I'm looking around and I'm seeing, okay, there's a lot more going on than just you're committing a crime and, we're having to lock you up and all of that kind of stuff. I saw that it really was a system within the family. And so there were seemed like to be sometimes some mental health issues that were not dealt with by either the parents, and they were kind of passing some of that along to the child because there is kind of a genetic link there. But also, let's keep fast forwarding. As a result of that, I decided, okay, I'm going to definitely pursue my degree in counseling. And so I was able to do that. And along the way, I began to get some real life experience. Some true on the job training is what I call it, because of my experience with having our first child. And I went through postpartum depression, and all of the uncertainty and the fear and the questions and being away from family. It just really was an uncertain and a scary time. And I ended up having to be admitted into the hospital, and everything. So from that, I was also still in my graduate program, and so I had to kind of step back a little bit to regroup. But I really saw what my future clients were going to be going through at some point, some of them, and it gave me a deeper love for being able to and wanting to break the stigma that says that you don't need to ask for help because you can do this. You're a strong woman. You just need to put your big girl panties on and keep on going. Sometimes we really do need to stop and ask somebody or tell somebody, this is what's going on with me. Now I was so busy trying to do everything else, because at the time my husband was deployed. And so, I'm pregnant, and I'm trying to keep everything in the middle of the road. And every time somebody says, you okay? Yeah, I'm good. I'm fine. I'm, trying to keep it going. But I really did need to slow down. And that was my wake up call, to slow down. And so it really, I think when I meet, clients now who are going through some of the similar situations, I'm there to be their champion and cheer them on and let them know, look, this is where you are now. This is how you feel now. And you feel like, all is off, but it's not. It's really not. You can rebound from this. And here is how we do it. Now, some of the things I did might not work for you, but we're going to, kind of tailor some things for you to be able to get you moving forward, because that's the key. You have to be able to move forward from where you are. And you can't be afraid to say, yeah, I've had some mental health challenges. Because a lot of times, people will look at you like you're crazy. And say, well, okay, something's really wrong with you. Why are you, what's this mental health thing? You just fine. You need to just go and, go on vacation and do some other stuff like that. But really, you have to be in tune to what's going on, both inside and outside.
And thank you for sharing that. I even like that you wanted to talk about this topic, because there are some things that I'm struggling with when it comes to trying to get that communication going with my family. And you talked about your postpartum and how you kind of struggled with that while your husband was deployed. What were some of the steps that you've taken to get that open line of communication going when you was reaching out for help with your family members?
Being honest. Some of those steps was, honesty was the first thing. Because I can't change anything I won't acknowledge. And when I'm always saying, I'm fine, I'm good, I got it, because I really did not want them to worry about what was going on with me, because I'm, there in South Carolina, I'm in Texas. That's a really good distance away from each other. And so, I didn't want anybody to stress out and be like, what's going on? She can't take care of herself, that kind of thing. But really being honest. I'm in, those people that I can trust to be able to just share, yeah, today is a bad day. And people like my mom, my dad, my husband, really being able to share with him, because during deployment, it's almost like I didn't want to share anything that was negative, because I realized that he was already in, harm's way a lot of times. And so I didn't want his focus to be shifted. So I absolutely, honesty was one thing. That was the first thing. The second thing was accepting the help. And so that help came for me in the form of a counselor. So I had my own therapist. And I, they're like, some people might say, well, you don't need to go talk to pay somebody to go talk, about your problems. You can go, you can go talk to your pastor, you can pray, you can do all these other things. And that's true. You absolutely can do those things. But sometimes that clinical piece of really knowing what depression is and how it impacts your body and all of that psychoeducation is important. So I had to be able to get that part because I absolutely knew I could pray. I was praying to begin with. So I just needed that extra resource. And so having a counselor in my life, being able to really keep it real with me and call me on all of my stuff that I thought that I was just doing so great at, being able to handle this and handle that. Working on finding my balance, whatever that was for me, because it's not the same for everybody. For me,
right.
Being able to know that, excuse me, I don't have to give 100% or 50% to everything. I have to just do what works for me and what feels right. And so not worrying about what other people might say about it, about what I'm doing or how I'm doing it. So I had to really work that out and walk that out. And my counselor really helped me to do that. And then being able to tell the story. Because telling the story gives it life and it makes it real. And it helps for me. It helps me to be able to still overcome and still grow and still be able to nurture other people. And at the same time, they nurture me. Because it feels good when somebody looks me in the eye and is able to say, thank you so much. This was life-saving for me because I was absolutely down to almost nothing. And I felt like I was so empty inside. And so being able to hear those stories, it fulfills the thing that I wanted to do. It gives me that sense of completeness because I'm paying it forward and I'm helping others to move forward.
Wow. Wow. And so how long have you been practicing as a licensed professional in the field? And can you share one of the rewarding parts about that and even an experience you had as far as where you probably felt different leaving a session and it kind of impacted you somehow?
So I've been a licensed professional counselor for over 12 years now.
Wow.
I've been in the field for about 15, 16 years. I started out really working with children a lot. And then I gravitated more to the adult side because I wanted to be able to impact the children, but do it by, talking with the parents and allowing them to be able to grow and that trickles down to the children. And so for me, being able to see a client go from coming into the office, they have their hope is gone. Because a lot of times with depression and anxiety, there's that sense of hopelessness, that sense of you're in a room of 100 people and you feel like you're the only person in the room.
Mm-hmm.
So that sense of loneliness. Seeing that look on a face that is just, heartbroken because they really feel like they're trapped and they cannot tell anybody else that something is wrong. Or that they really don't want to get out of bed in the morning, but they really push themselves because they have children and they have to get them off to school and all of that kind of thing. And so with clients, especially clients that are dealing with postpartum, I've seen them, come back like, months later and say, hey, this is what I've been able to do. I've been able to redo my schedule. Like on Saturdays and Sundays, I've been able to go through things so I can see what my week looks like. I've been able to put into practice all of these things that we talked about. And it gives me that yes. And I keep telling them, keep on going and keep on doing it because the consistency part, that is the key That's the key in all of this. No matter what you set out to do, if you don't put in the work, then you won't see the results. And so it's being able to see those results, because there was times when I was doing an internship in a particular client. It was dealing with clients who had some alcohol substance abuse issues. And that particular client, we were trying to, get him to understand that some of his life choices were, they had dire consequences. And that was on a Thursday when we were having that conversation with him. And unfortunately, he didn't live to see Sunday morning, because he was with some of his friends and they were drinking. And I think they were playing games and not really realizing what they were doing. He fell off of a building and died.
Mm.
And so that really impacted me, and it caused me to think about really how I set the boundary to be able to deal with my own emotions when things like that happen.
Yeah.
When a client doesn't want to go forward at that time, or they're just not ready to go forward. What that means, being able to take a step back for me, and allow that individual to kind of walk their path. Unfortunately, this individual's path, he was a young guy, and it ended. He was actually a service member too. But so, it's unfortunate that happened to him. But it kind of shapes how I do things now. I have to give them the message, give them the tools. If they use them, they use them, and I'm glad. But if they don't, it's okay. And I have to be okay with that, because they have to take ownership of the process.
Yeah. Wow. And another shout out to Barbara Forrest, who's another viewer, and her comment is, depression is real in the church and must be talked about and not overlooked because we are saved. And thank you for sharing as well, Barbara. That's definitely important as well, as she speak on that too. And I'm not sure, out of your 12, 13, 14 plus experiences as a licensed counselor, but have you ever had any clients that were church members, or a lot of what they were going through, they were struggling with sharing it with others? Like, did you have any of that experience? And if so, what was the experience that you had, and how different, if any, was it with someone else who probably wasn't as spiritually connected as someone else?
So absolutely. I've had church members, Christians, and because I'm a Christian myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so, the stigma is that you absolutely have to just pray about it. If something's going wrong, that wrong, then you're not doing something right.
Yeah.
You need to, get right with Jesus, or you need to do X, Y, and Z. And that, in a lot of ways, there's some truth to that. Yeah. It's also true that we all have to walk this life out. We all have our ups and downs. Every day is so not going to be sunshine. There's going to be some rain, because that rain causes the ground to be able to push up some flowers and grow. Those flowers to grow and blossom. And so it's important that we all have to understand that. When I have clients that come in and they're like, sometimes they do say, I've talked with the pastor about it, or I've talked with this person about it, but there's still there's still just something. There's something in there that's just still not feeling right. And so, like I think I mentioned with myself, it still is important for that psychoeducation, understanding really what it is that's going on with you. We can say from a natural perspective, because I definitely incorporate scripture and prayer and some other things with clients who identify as being Christian. because I don't want them to lose sight that those are absolutely integral tools that they need to use. But in addition to some other things, so we help them be well-rounded. Um, you know, and not to feel ashamed that these things are
Right.
happening to you. These things are 9 times out of 10 happening to some other people,
Right.
around you who sit next to you in church every Sunday or on Wednesday or whenever. But you being able to kind of be that catalyst allows them to see, okay, I can come out. I can come out and I can say, this is what's happening to me because I saw Sister Sally over there and she talked about her testimony and things that she went through. So I think it's important that we do that because we have to tell the story.
Right.
Because that's how we all overcome when we tell the story. And so it gives us that connectedness. It's important to feel that sense of community and connectedness with other people. And especially when you're dealing with something that's of the mental health nature, because that socialization is important. And the activity of whether you're singing in the choir or whatever you're doing, those things are important because they help you to get out of your house, get out of your box, get out of the feelings of isolation and that kind of thing. So yeah, we definitely have to not lose sight of who God is and what He is. Also the resources that He's put out into the environment to help us.
Oh, I didn't know at the end when you said help if you were done. I'm all into the message. No, it's okay. I'm all into it. So and here it's so as you're talking about it, I'm thinking about like how you mentioned being honest with that family member or that friend, but what about when your family is dysfunctional? Or you haven't been taught how to communicate with one another. How do you go about really putting aside that vulnerability and reaching out to that individual to where they take you serious? Like how do you go about that, especially when you never talked about it, or as a culture you never seen reaching out about mental health challenges is just something that you do. So what do you do if you go through that and your family is dysfunctional? It's not where you have anyone that you talk to about everything.
Yeah. So there is a phrase that came from back in the day where I believe Charter Pines in our area was opening, and the slogan was, if you don't get help at Charter, get help somewhere. If you can't find that help or that support or that link in your family, please go get it somewhere. And that somewhere can start at a simple Google search. You can Google, counselors in your area or whatever it is that you might need. Even going back to the church, some churches have support groups that you can look up and find, and they'll tell you, what days and what times they meet. If you have, health insurance that has that mental health rider on your insurance, being able to go and see who your insurance will allow you to see. Talking with your healthcare provider about some things that might be going on with you. Sometimes that's really where it starts. People going in to talk to their doctor about one thing, and all of a sudden the doctors are asking, they're triaging and asking about mental health things these days. Because I was, asked a couple of weeks ago, if I felt low or if I felt, one way or the other. So sometimes it can even start there. It can start, in the doctor's office. Being able to say, well, yeah, doctor, this is what's going on, and I really don't have, that support. Sometimes, we get caught up in, okay, this is my family, and I, this is all I have. But you have other sister friends, you have, acquaintances. The very unlikely encounters with acquaintances have been able to provide that opportunity to get that conversation going about, stress or whatever is going on. And so there may be resources, even through that simple conversation. I've been in the grocery store talking, and I've run into people that I didn't know, but they really just, they stopped me and we started having a conversation, and they would pretty much tell me, about some of the things that were going on, some of the stressors, that they were experiencing, but they were like, but I saw your smile today. And it just brightened my day, so I just really wanted to stop and let you know. That was my open space to say, you don't have to walk this alone. You might be stressed today, but I don't want you to get stuck there. And here are some resources. And they don't know me from Adam, but because they stopped and because that was an opportunity, I was able to do that. And for that person or for anyone who feels like, okay, my family is, they're too dysfunctional. They don't understand this. They already think I'm nutty. I'm nuttier, than
Right.
fruitcake or whatever. So it's being able to find those other people because they are out there. But once, like I said, a Google search, will get you some information. It'll get the ball rolling.
Yeah. And I just did a Google search because you said it and because we had another comment, and it says people are afraid to open up and share how they really are feeling because we see them blossoming and prospering and they don't see the real signs of depression or a cry for help. And as you stated about just Googling, which is a very good tool as well, and I'm on the WebMD.com, and they talk about some of the signs of depression. And because one of the things I wanted to also hit on before you mentioned that, and before I seen a comment from Barbara again, was what if you have a person that's a loved one, but how can you support them? Or shall I say, when you see the signs and symptoms, how do you reach out to them? So before you answer that, let's go on and just discuss a little bit of what are some of the signs. So what I see here is sad, empty, or anxious. It will continue over time without getting better or going away. So even if an individual don't see it in themselves, as a friend or a loved one, we should be able to still recognize whether or not they're going through these things. Am I correct?
Sometimes.
Okay.
And I say that because a lot of times they are missed. Because in all honesty, I think that, after the fact, even in my situation, I think my family after the fact could kind of see some things, but it was a hindsight type situation because I want to say in a lot of ways I presented really well, and that I was keeping it all together and putting a smile on my face and all of that kind of thing. So I think that sometimes that is, you get caught up in the book cover.
Yeah.
But you don't necessarily really open to read the book.
Yeah.
And so now, I dare say, now my mama, she could pick it out. But, other people might not necessarily.
Right.
Because you have to really, it's about time. And a lot of times we don't have these days, kind of like a quick, fast, and in a hurry thing. That quick text message or that quick whatever, and we keep on going. And so we have to be able to know that, okay, yeah, I'm texting you, but I need to put eyes on you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I need to sit down, and even if we go, if it's a nice day, if we go to the park, if we go, grab a cup of coffee, or if we go and, just hang out at the house.
Right.
Connection is important, and being able to sit in that person's presence will help you more than that quick text message or that other stuff. So sometimes a person can really look at you and say, "Oh, you going through? What is going on?" But then saying it like that to them might not, necessarily get them to open up to you and say, "Okay, this is what's going on," because you kind of lace that with some judgment, and so they're already feeling bad inside,
right,
and that judgment part of it creates okay. I'm going to tell you a couple of things, but I'm not going to, give you the whole kit and caboodle, because I don't think you can handle that.
Right.
And I probably can't handle the way that you're going to express yourself once I let you know, what's going on. So, So sometimes they won't. Sometimes they won't. But for those who do, I would say this. I would say it's important for us to read. It's important for us to do our research. It's important for us to continue to get the message out there. These are the signs. These are the symptoms. This is what's going on. Because we can't all be Facebook fabulous and not have some trials and tribulations in our lives.
Oh, yeah.
Something has helped us to be the diamond that we are, today. It's that rough shaking that has helped us to be able to keep on developing and evolving into the person that we are today. So it's, being honest.
Amen. Yes.
You gotta, when you bake a cake, you have to have flour and sugar and eggs and all these things. When it comes to you becoming your best self, it's important to go back and talk about the ingredients.
Yeah.
And talk about some of the rough stuff and how you had to stir all of that together in order to produce this cake that is you. We have to be honest about that kind of stuff. But it starts with are we willing? Are we willing to be that vulnerable? Because we know right now in this society, everybody has an opinion about if we sneeze, we could sneeze wrong and somebody's upset. So we have to.
Or a little bit too loud, too low, yeah.
Be willing to absolutely say, "Hey, this is my story, and I'm sticking to it. And it doesn't matter how you feel about it or how you feel about it. This is what it is. And I'm giving it to you because look, you might think, okay, well, whatever, she should be all right. But somebody out there is walking in these shoes, and they need to know. So for that one person, I'm telling my story, and I'm being honest about it. And that's where we have to go. In that sense, that's my feeling anyway.
Wow. So I know it's in the afternoon, but I think you about to take us to church. So yeah, I like that though. Okay. And Juanetta Rogers had to ask this question, and this is for you too. How common do you think depression really is, or mental health in general? How common?
I think it's really common. I think that there are varying degrees. Sometimes there's just an event. There's just something that kind of triggered an emotion that has caused you to feel low. Now that's not necessarily what I would be able to say, okay, we're going to diagnose you with depression. And then there is the depression where, like I said, with postpartum, you've had a baby, all of your hormones are in balance, and all of a sudden you're feeling like, okay, I can't really function. It's that kind of thing. Then there's the major depressive disorder. So that is, you feel isolated, you feel low, you have lack of interest in anything you used to do. Like if you were, adamant about, say, painting or adamant about writing your poetry, and then all of a sudden that's like the last thing you want to do on earth. It could be that something in life has changed and you're just like, okay, I'm shifting and I'm that's not a part of what I do anymore. Yeah, that's true. But there are also times where you may be dealing with depression, and it is drawing you away from those things that you're passionate about. Now, if that's going on for roughly 2 weeks and longer, then it is time for you to kind of check into that and see what's going on here. Why do I feel like I just really absolutely do not want to get out of bed? And it's not necessarily that I know I don't like my job. I knew that like 2 years ago, but I'm still here.
Right.
But I just can't get out of bed right now. And so being able to, like take that to your doctor, because you want to also make sure that this is not a health issue. Because sometimes there are health issues that create that same type of symptoms within your body. So you have to be able to rule it out. You got to rule out. And so once the doctor's been able to rule out, okay, this is not health related, then you can move to the mental health side of it. And your doctor can absolutely help you, get there. And so he or she can help you to get to people like me, who are licensed professional counselors or social workers or psychologists, to be able to work through and kind of do a deeper assessment to see where you are and some things that maybe you need to shift. And sometimes incorporating some exercise in there is important. Sometimes just sitting out where the sun is shining down, letting the sun really just hit your face for a few minutes every day is important because it gives you that vitamin D. You just have to, there's any number of things you can do, but knowing those things is important.
Yeah. Wow. So, and thank you again for sharing. And Barbara loved the ingredients that you use when you bake your cake, and more so the metaphor. So yeah, that was that preaching part I brought up.
Thank you, Barbara.
And can you also let us know about your services? Can you give us some more information on Life Interrupted Counseling Services and how to connect if we're interested?
Okay, absolutely. So Life Interrupted Counseling Services is my particular practice. I see clients face-to-face. I also see them through video counseling. And so it's through an encrypted site, so you're not having to worry about if somebody can get, a hold of your video or what you said or did. And with that, I'm licensed in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Texas. So I'm able to see clients from the comfort of their home or actually face-to-face in the office setting. Clients can get in touch with me. I'm going to put my number and contact information in the chat, but for those who aren't seeing that, you can go to www.drkeishakeith.com, and that's dr.keshiakeith.com, or call 980-404-1069 to get in touch with me. And the initial consultation is free because I want to make sure that you are comfortable that is a right fit for you, and it is not a right fit. We will figure out how to connect you with someone else who is. But I am absolutely available for individual counseling. I also work with couples in counseling as well.
Nice. Couples and individuals. So that is Dr. Keisha, KESHIA, Keith.com.
Yes.
Correct?
So there's no period after doctor.
Okay, I didn't think so. Okay, so DRKESHIAKEITH.com.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm also going to post it as well on my page and send it out as well so everyone can have that information. And then there is another question as well for you, and it is, how long does postpartum depression usually last? And is it only for women who have babies, or could it also be a major event from anyone that happened to that something may have happened that caused it from that for that individual as well? So is it just for women who has babies, and how long does it last?
So that's a great question. And postpartum can be found in sometimes in women in general. And you don't necessarily have to have had a baby, but there has to be some type of a maternal or fraternal thing going on. What I mean by that is you are being impacted when you're caring for or nurturing a child. Sometimes men also have symptoms of postpartum as well. So it can be either. Now, if you have not had that maternal encounter where you're caring for a child or you've had a child, chances are that may be something else. And if it's a significant event, we have to look at, okay, is this postpartum? Not necessarily, or is this PTSD? Is this some other type of generalized anxiety? Is this major depressive disorder? We have to kind of do everything. So that's what the proper assessment of what you're experiencing and what's going on. That's kind of how that plays a part. We have to be able to assess it to determine if it's really happening for you. But if you're not, like I said, engaged, if you've not had a child or you're not engaging in the bonding with a child, 9 times out of 10, that's postpartum, not a part of what's going on. It can vary. It's just like when you're dealing with grief. Now, the hope is that you're not 2 years in still dealing with the same symptoms from postpartum, but that could be possible. That may be an extreme case though, and hopefully that particular individual has been able to get connected with their doctor and a counselor to be able to work through, so they're in the progress or in the process of being able to make those changes and find that balance. So yeah, there's a lot that goes into being able to identify, okay, this is exactly what's going on. But it goes back to the rule out. We have to rule out what may and may not be going on with you. What life events have happened. Something else may have triggered how you're feeling right now.
Okay. Oh, thank you. We're about to be at the end of our session, our talk, our chat, and I definitely appreciated a lot of good information. And thank you for the viewers. And I didn't check out the listeners, but thank you as well for the listeners that had tuned in. And I wanted to ask you this as well because I checked out what you enjoy, and you had said relaxing at the spa and catching up with friends and spending time with family. So I would think that these are the different techniques you use to also help you maintain good health as well. And if so, are there any other suggestions that people can do? I know you mentioned take a walk. Are there any other ones you may think that others can use to help cope with depression, and even share with family members or friends that they notice may have some of the signs and symptoms as well?
Oh, absolutely. So, it involves doing what you love. And for me, I love to spa. I do. I love being with my friends and, having a good time. I love, every now and then, going to a sip and paint. Anything that is relaxing for you. Now, I caution and say, okay, sometimes, that might be, a cup of wine, chatting it up with your friends, but not to excess, I would say.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, if you're dealing with, any thing that's mental health related, you want to limit your alcohol, you want to limit your caffeine, because that can also, it can make things, 10 times worse when it comes to any anxiety you might feel or any depression, because alcohol is really a depressant. And so, a lot of people don't know that or realize that. So make sure that you're limiting, your intake in those areas. But if you're laughing, if you're smiling, if you're feeling, that joy inside, whatever it is that you're doing, and, be sure that it is what you want to be doing, but enjoy it.
Yeah.
Live it up.
Yeah.
Live life to the fullest. Be safe while you're doing it, but absolutely live life to the fullest.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I have to have you back on the show a few times. I don't want to take up all your time, but it's so many other different topics I thought of when you was just commenting on my question. Because even when you talk about alcohol, I know I have a few close friends that sometimes, even myself, I have to figure out how to say it in a nice way without having so much emotions behind it
Yeah.
when trying to tell them that it's too much, it's going too far. Like, it's so many different topics that I can think of, or situations, shall I say, that at that moment I don't really know the best way to do these things, but when it happens, but I don't want to just react right away. And even though I know it's about to end, I know you have something to come back and at least right now and give an answer to, and then you can just elaborate on another time if you would love to come back on the show. But what are your thoughts about that? Like, when the drinking, and I think I put more emotion on drinking than anything else because I don't drink, so I think I kind of do that a little bit too much. But what kind of advice can you give me or anyone else that may be going through those things where they see loved ones doing that? Something that sometimes is hard to say, even in a nice way, where they want to stop or whatever.
Yeah. You have to be really in tune to knowing who you're talking to. And, is this something that, if you putting it out there, allows them to at least think about it, even if they don't want to stop, or if they're not going to, put down that drink, or even as simple as, okay, you kind of had too much. I think you need to spend the night. Don't, or let's get this Uber or whatever. Let's not go home driving in the car, because I don't feel, safe with you doing that. I care about you. I love you. I want you to be here for a long, long time. And sometimes it's just, sharing your heart with that person, about how important they are to you. Now, ultimately, they have to make their decision. And I think it kind of goes back to, like I was talking about, my client who had a drinking issue. And what happened with him? Oh, we gave him, everything that we felt we could give him. And the information was there. If he chose to pick it up, he did. If he didn't, he did. That's his choice. Everybody has a choice. Unless it's a situation where they've done something, that's, been criminal or what have you, and they're court ordered to go to counseling. 9 times out of 10, unless they really want to go, they won't. But you still be that voice. You still let them know that, you're cheering them on and you want the best for them. And sometimes, people can take that tough love. Sometimes that tough love of, look, this, what you're doing is ridiculous right now. You're, about 10 drinks in, and I think you're good, so let's back up. But like I said, they have to be able to receive that. But making sure that person definitely gets home safe if they're out, out and about. And making sure that you check on them the next morning if possible, to make sure that they're good. Now, if they're hungover, you can understand, yep, they're hungover. But, at least they made it home. They arrived alive. And so it's just, saying what you need to say, being supportive, letting them know, just pour it into them. Because sometimes they might feel empty, and drinking is the thing they think fills them up. But you saying those words might just really make a difference for them. But maybe they've not heard that they're important to somebody. Or maybe they don't feel like they're important to somebody.
Wow. Yeah. I got to use those. I never did that. Thank you. Wow. Thank you again. I would love to have you back on the show to...
Absolutely.
Thank you. Because it's... like we were saying, there's so many other different topics, and this is wonderful. And not just that, I want to be able to give you the opportunity, if you're still looking at the video, for those that don't know, I had met Dr. Keisha at an event, a conference in, I believe it was Philadelphia in June. And
Yes. Yes.
I want you to kind of talk a little bit about this too on another show, but I know that I was going to post some of my thoughts on your story on my blog because I was really touched, and then it just so happened you connected so we can get on the show, but I was very, very inspired. And before I end it, where can it pick up the book? Is it still out for those that are interested?
Oh, absolutely. So the book is called The Classroom of My Life,
Mm-hmm.
and you can get it on Amazon. You can get it on Barnes and Noble. You can even contact me, and I will mail it to you.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, so you can absolutely do all three of those. If you go to my website, you'll see it there as well. But honestly, I can get you a signed copy, and I take Cash App, PayPal, and Stripe. So yeah, so we can make that happen most definitely, and I appreciate you, for that shout out about my book, because it is really my true story about my experience with postpartum.
I read this book because I flown from North Carolina to Pennsylvania, so I read the book then, and I'm such a big baby. Most people probably don't know. People I'm closer with know, and it was so touching. It was so moving. And like I say, I knew even as you was talking, I was like, okay, at first I wanted to wait to see what you wanted to hit on first, because everything happens for a reason and it's God's timing. Yeah. So I wanted you to just hit on what you wanted to talk about, but then I knew I had to bring the book up. I knew I wanted at least a later date on another show if you wanted to come back to talk about this, because, in this book, it's about losing my mind to find myself, going through changes, bringing forth life in silence, going home empty-handed, awakening in darkness, Mrs. Know-It-All, asking for help, recovery. So many good tools and lessons learned that's in here. And I loved it. And even when you first connected, and I'm like, I know who this is. I already know. But I was waiting to tell you, because I wanted to have things happen naturally, and that's what works even for me. And it's going back to, like you said, being honest and accepting and telling your story. But I am so grateful for you. I'm grateful for your time. Hopefully next time we can figure this thing out as far as bringing your face on, but that's okay because we can all hear your voice. But this is even very good, because in like less than 45 minutes I have my final exam, and I'm going to do well in it. But this is also a good boost. Having this conversation with you helps a lot. It even helped clear my mind as we're talking now for me to be prepared to go into this exam, to take it. So I want to thank you. I want to thank you so much. And I'm definitely going to post your information on my platforms. And for those of you who are viewing or listening, if you're not subscribed to AmitzaMedia.com, you need to be. I have some surprises coming by the end of this weekend to my subscribers, and things that I did not announce will be also posted and will also be shared. Some of the stuff be shared first with the subscribers. But Dr. Keisha, thank you so much. And that is, again, Dr. Keisha, Keith.com. She put her information in the chat. I will be posting her information as well. So please get that information, get the book as well. And thank you so much again. Thank you again, listeners. Thank you again, viewers. And I want to take this time, of course, to thank God. Thank him as well, because of course without him I couldn't even be doing any of this. So thank you, God, in the name of Jesus. Also thank Methodist University Mass Communication Department as well for this opportunity. And once again, of course, our VIG of this afternoon, Dr. Keisha, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your patience, your cooperation. Hopefully I'm not going past your time to get back to clients, but thank you again. And I'm looking forward to us going back and chatting and spreading the word. And you all just please have a good afternoon. Continue with the chat. Although I will be studying for the exam, I'm sure Dr. Keisha will still be looking over the chat, so you can still continue with the chat. And I am going to go ahead and take my first out of 4 exams within this next week. And I look forward to going back to check out what you all had to say. And thank you all again for tuning in to Amitza Media Radio. Thanks again and have a good day, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.